What up, dude bros? I'm Frank. Welcome to Foam Flinging Review 2022. This is a new annual series that will be replacing my Q&A series. This is a subjective highlight reel of what's happened in the foam flinging world for 2022, mostly emphasizing the stuff that I have talked about or I've experienced on my channel. This is subjective. This is by no means a comprehensive coverage of every single thing that's happened this year. Table of contents, feel free to jump through if one chapter starts to bore you. Notable releases showcased on the channel this year, trends with major brands that I've observed, changes in the attitude or perspective of nerfers or foam flingers, moving forward, my predictions of trends and stuff that might happen in the next few years, a wish list of specific products that I want to exist, and ending with a reflection on my Coop 772 channel itself. So let's begin with notable releases that have been showcased on my YouTube channel this year. First, the Worker Swift. This is notable specifically for that prime action. Considering how hard it's able to shoot with the right spring, that prime action is very easy to prime back. It's a very long prime action, and they're sort of lowering the air speed and increasing the air volume to get the same velocity. It's not really better or worse than a shorter priming action, but it's definitely worth noting. Next, the Worker Phoenix 2.0, because of the adjustable rate of fire dial. This is awesome. You don't have to program it, mess with buttons. It's not difficult at all. You just turn the dial. It's so simple and accessible, you can just reach it right on the outside of the blaster. I really hope to see more adjustability in rate of fire and maybe even velocity in the future. Way to go, Phoenix 2.0. Next, the 3D printed Woozy. I don't think this blaster launched this year. I think I just reviewed it this year. But this is notable because of the insanely fast rate of fire, 50 rounds a second. I actually don't recommend you buy that version. You can get a slower rate of fire version, which I'd recommend. But boy, it is fun to shoot 50 rounds a second. It's amazing. Next, the Zinc 2.0, mostly because of how realistic and comfortable the frame is. It reminds me a lot of the SIG P320. Having the magazine spring eject out of it adds to the tactics, man. It's really fun to reload that one. Next, the Nerf Moto Blitz. This is a comfortable ergonomic flywheeler with an integrated air tank shotgun. The shell lines are nice, the integration is solid, and having an air tank shotgun could be very functional for given loadouts. I think the performance needs to be boosted up to about 100 FPS to be somewhat competitive, and a unified paint job would be good. And with some modification to the barrel, you don't have to shoot elite darts, you could shoot multiple short darts per barrel. Am I foreshadowing for a mod video for 23? Yes, I am. But the Nerf Moto Blitz is probably my favorite Nerf blaster launch for the year 2022. Next, the Nerf Ultra Speed. I chose this for its high rate of fire. Compared to the Woozy, it's not fast at all, but compared to other unmodified Nerf guns, it has a pretty quick rate of fire. Granted, it's not super practical because it only has 12-round magazines, and I still can't find those mags sold separately. You don't want a high rate of fire blaster with a 12-round mag when you can only have 2 mags. That doesn't make for a good primary. Impractical, but still pretty cool. Next, the Dart Zone Tomcat. This is worth noting because of the really cool cylinder system. They took the same loading system they used in the Dart Zone Tomahawk and then downsized it for half-length darts. This is cool because it has a 50-round capacity, which I believe is the highest capacity half-dart blaster on the market. And you can quick swap the cylinders, so you could carry multiple cylinders and switch them out, sort of like magazines. Very cool innovation, way to go Dart Zone. Next, the Nerf Limited Halo Needler. Props. As a prop toy, this thing is gorgeous. It looks amazing. The lights are incredible. The cosmetics are just perfect. However, shooting it's not super fun. The grip is kind of uncomfortable. The rate of fire is pretty bad. And the performance by today's standards is pretty bad. It's also kind of annoying to load up. But if you don't shoot it and you just want to look at it, oh yeah, baby, it's a great prop. Cosmetically speaking, I think that's my favorite blaster of 2022, even though now that I'm done with the review, I'm not going to shoot it anymore. But I do keep it in my office and turn it on when I want it to look cool. Next, the 3D printed Slab. This is notable because it's an incredible passion project. It's a lever action blaster which gives you that emotional response, yet it shoots hard and it's very accurate. It's a great pairing of that emotional, fun, lighthearted vibe with raw performance. Using standard Talon mags and standard half darts, none of this proprietary crap, it's super fun to use. I hope there's more stuff like this in the future. 3D printing technology makes that possible. And last notable release for 22 is the Game Face Tryon. Why? Tactics, bro. Pump action, slam fire enabled at 200 FPS. What a beautiful performer. Spring spacers so you can change from 140 to 200 FPS very quickly without tools. M-lock, Picatinny, freaking tactics, bro. And an amazing feature of this blaster that I forgot to put in the review. I'm sorry, bros. When you take off the stock, it reveals a mil-spec buffer tube so you can put on an adjustable airsoft stock. And also a standard M4 grip attachment lug. So you can put on standard Magpul parts. You can customize this with whatever stock you want, with whatever grip you want, and with whatever vertical grip you want. All of the important parts that you want to customize to your body type, to your hand size, you can. I'm sorry I didn't mention that in my review, bros. It's a huge selling feature. Tactics, bro. The Game Face Tryon is my MVP blaster for 2022. It is by far my favorite launch this year. It's actually not technically out yet, so it'll be a 23 thing, but I talked about it on my channel in 22. The rules of this series are going to get a little blurred. Time is an illusion, man. The Gregorian calendar is an arbitrary system of control. How dare you say the year ends here? Who made you boss? Florida man loses his mind on camera. Oh dear. Ah! So that's it for the notable releases for 2022. Now getting to trends and the major brands. These are my personal subjective things that I've just been paying attention to. I by no means speak for the whole community or these brands. First, covering Nerf. In my opinion, Elite 2.0 is pretty much trash except for the Moto Blitz and the Turbine. No other blaster is really worth buying in my opinion. Elite 2.0 is a total flop. They're still releasing more and more, but nobody likes them, so I don't know why they keep making them. I think that's because they put a lot of effort into Ultra, like with the Ultra Speed, but who the F cares about Ultra? Who's actually shooting Ultra blasters? They're not fun to use. Those dang darts, they fall around, and when you step on them barefoot, it hurts, man. They don't compress. It's uncomfortable to walk on those. Normal darts, half darts, rival rounds, you can step and then walk away and they bounce right back. It's fine. It doesn't hurt your foot. It freaking hurts to step on Ultra darts. I don't like using them indoors. So I think they're wasting too many resources on Ultra. They kind of have to. Their marketing push was big and expensive. So the accountants are like, oh, we need to sell this many units to justify the marketing. Yeah. Ultra just needs to die. Whatever. I don't get it. Next, nothing really great in Rival or Tactics in general. Rival hasn't been evolved. They came up with a Pathfinder early this year. Nobody really cared. They haven't really pushed the competitive Rival scene. I think they were trying to replace Rival with Hyper and now the Gel Blasters. I think that's dumb. Hyper is just icky. I'm not into that either. Those rounds are so small and they're rubbery. They collect cat hair. Like I constantly have to wash my hands when I'm playing with Hyper rounds. It's just gross. Like I don't like that sensation. I prefer Rival rounds. And a serious lack of tactics from Nerf. Modulus appears to be dead. So, bummer. So they appear to be leaning really heavily into the Nerf limited series, like the Mandalorian Blaster, the Needler, the Alien Pulse Blaster, and they have a few planned for next year. Star Trek Blaster and this League of Legends Blaster. So they're trying to make super fancy Nerf blasters for people that aren't into Nerf blasters. Oh, you like Halo? You like a movie from 30 years ago that no young person can remember? Talk about aliens. Here, buy a Nerf blaster. Give me your money. I am interested in Nerf Limited because it's a unique application of cosmetics. They do look really cool. But as a foam flinger and not somebody who just stares at my blasters, I like to shoot them. I don't really care that much. I think, again, they're wasting their engineers and designers on this crap instead of tactics in Rival. And they're still pushing Dungeons and Dragons, Roblox, Minecraft, and Fortnite crap. Nerfers don't care, but again, they're trying to get Nerf blasters into the hands of people that don't use Nerf blasters. They've all but forgotten the people that just only care about Nerf blasters and don't care about the video games. I get the need to expand and to try to get Nerf blasters into new hands, but you can't alienate your core audience. That's BS, man. They just don't care. They're just constantly slapping us in the face with design decisions and all this garbage. So the trend of Nerf is just meh. I don't know anybody who has a higher opinion of Nerf this year than they did 2 years ago. I think the majority of us who are paying attention are just like, come on, Nerf, get your together. But that's the general trend for Nerf. Now on to Dart Zone. Dart Zone is innovating. They're giving us more stuff that we've been asking for. The Mark 2.1 is a pretty cool continuation of the Mark II. Magazine fed, a different type of holster, and a different alternative pistol on the market. I personally prefer the Mark II over the 2.1, but use either one. They're both pretty good. The Tomcat was a super cool innovation. They took the Tomahawk's loading system and downsized it for half darts. That's super rad. The Deuce Pro giving, again, more pistol options, so now we have a bunch of different options. We have the Mark III representing flywheel 150 FPS. We have a few different Springer primaries at that velocity. We have a bunch of different pistols at that velocity. They're really building out their collection so you can get whatever you want. You're not stuck to just one thing because it's the only thing that shoots 150 FPS. They're like flooding the market, so now you can use a Mark II, a Mark 2.1, the Deuce Pro, whatever pistol you want. And in general, they're responding to what we like, what we're asking for, our opinions. They actually respect the people they're selling products to. Yo, Nerf, take notes. And they're giving us more tactics and excellent performance. Adjustable stocks, different types of stocks that are all compatible, and a bunch of different attachments. That's what we want, and that's what they're giving us. Way to go, Dart Zone. They've been really nailing it the last few years. In 2022, they didn't seem to let up at all. I'm excited to see what Dart Zone does for 23. So those are my observed trends with the major brands right now. That's just Nerf and Dart Zone. Now a few changes in attitude and just general perspective of Nerfers. Again, just my subjective opinion. First, I think most of us can say Hasbro can suck a We are so disappointed in you. But seriously, I do think there is hope. So just bear with me while I give you a hypothetical. Pretend we're 10 years in the future from now. The year is 2032. Option 1, when we talk about Nerf, we say, wow, remember Nerf? They started this awesome hobby. Too bad they didn't survive. Dart Zone, Worker, and maybe other companies that we haven't heard of yet are totally stomping it in this realm. But thanks, Nerf, for starting this awesome hobby. I'm sorry you couldn't hack it during the 2020s and we just abandoned you to move on to people who actually showed us respect as consumers. That is a very real possibility, and given their trajectory in the last few years, it is not unrealistic. But hear me out. We're still 10 years in the future. Option 2. Remember Nerf in their weird phase after COVID? They went through a few years of just making some garbage and really not showing us respect. But man, remember Remember they fired some of those sociopathic accountants who had no passion for our hobby at all? They gave more power and autonomy to their designers and engineers and the people who have passion for flinging foam. Yeah, man, then they just swung their company around in the middle of the 2020s. Good for them. We all have those awkward phases where we try some stuff, it doesn't work, we try some other stuff. Maybe this is just a phase for Nerf. Crossing my fingers, because really Nerf has excellent manufacturing standards generally, except for Elite 2.0, and they can really compete if they turn it around and show a little bit more respect and give us what we want, instead of just ignoring their core audience and just trying to get new people to buy Nerf guns. So I think those are two potential roads for 10 years in the future. Which do you think is going to come true? Leave a comment in the section below. Moving on, in general changes and perspective shifts in this year. 150 FPS and half-dart firing blasters are normalizing. A few years ago, a lot of people were pushing back saying, no, that shoots too hard. Now I really think people are seeing the merit. Even for plinkers and target shooters, it's more fun to zip a dart in a straight line rather than having to lob it in. And people are adjusting to that. These blasters are becoming more and more normal. Next, 70 FPS is just too slow. That's no longer normal. 85 FPS is the new 70. Like my hairstylist tells me, gray is the new black. I don't really know what that means, but I'm pretty sure it's similar. 85 is the new 70. I should not be talking about fashion under any circumstances. Since more and more of us are exposed to these 150 FPS and 200 FPS blasters, 70 is just laughably slow at this point. Dart Zone is normalizing 80 to 90 FPS primaries. And if Dart Zone keeps pumping out more and more, flooding the market with more and more high performance blasters, the 70 FPS par is no longer going to be par. And those are the major changes and attitudes that I've seen for this year. And now moving forward, my personal subjective predictions of what's going to come in the future. First, I think dedicated half-dart flared magwells are going to be the norm for 150 FPS blasters. It's really cool that the Nexus Pro can use full-length and half-length darts without mods. However, who's shooting full-length darts at 150 FPS in 2022? Initially it was cool, so you didn't have to buy all the new darts, so you'd buy that and then transition into half-darts. But now that so many of us have tons of darts, tons of mags, and are geared to load them, we don't really need those tweener blasters. And as I discussed in my try-on review, the dedicated half-dart magwell is just superior to the adapter. So I want that to be normalized. I want blasters shooting 150 FPS to not even care about full-length darts, just fully optimize around the half-dart. I think it'll give us a better product. Next, I'm hoping for adjustable grips. In the real steel world, we have adjustable back straps for different finger lengths, because having a good grip on your blaster is like a big deal, especially when your hands are on it for hours and hours for a longer game. So it could fit a smaller hand if you're like 15, but then me, I have long fingers, I'd want the Super XL big girthy grip. We already have adjustable stocks, we already have replaceable barrels, we want more customization, and I think moving forward, that's what we're gonna get. Next, adjustable rate of fire dial should be the norm on everything that's full auto. The Worker Phoenix 2.0 is so cool, how easily you can do it. It's just awesome. And I also think it would be cool to have an adjustable dial that is just as simple to use for chrono velocity. So if I'm shooting a half-dart flywheeler, I could shoot at 150 FPS and then crank it down to like 95 FPS and stomp a stock war. I think adjustability is the future. I think it'd be really cool if we could build our whole loadout and dart collection off of one blaster and then adjust it to different velocities. Next, I think we're going to have different options in our prime weight and smoothness. I mentioned the Worker Swift having a longer than average stroke, but because of that, you can prime back a super strong spring relatively easily. And it's not a big deal, like I'm not a weak person, I don't care, but when you're shooting it hundreds and hundreds of times, that does make a difference at the end of the day. And I think having more options is a good thing. It extends the length of the draw, like there are cons to the Worker Swift because it's so long and big. And it's not going to be for everyone. I don't think it's really necessary if you're shooting only 150 FPS. But if you're shooting 200 FPS, especially if you're exceeding 200 FPS, that's a big deal and it makes a difference. Yeah, so I'm talking about really subtle stuff. Prime stroke, like that's it? That's what we're complaining about in 22? Because we have so many awesome options. We have the Mark III, flywheel 100 FPS. We have all these pistols, all these springers. It's not like, oh, if you don't mod and you want a 150 FPS blaster, go buy a Nexus Pro because that's the only one on the market. Now we have all sorts of them and that's awesome. So I think the future is more nuance and more customization and more focused on each of the blasters. Meaning not everyone's going to want a Worker Swift, but some people who want to have that high power but they don't have big arms, they could do that. More options will bring in more nerfers with different body types, which is cool. And last, I hope we can normalize custom wacky 3D printed blasters like the Slab. Now the Slab might not work as an injection molded blaster. I'm not sure enough people are going to buy it. With a lot of injection molded manufacturing, you have a limited quantity, like you have to buy 10,000 of them for the factory to build it for you. With 3D printing, even if you're only going to sell 300 of them, you can still sell 300 of them. And it can be super customized. Most injection molded things in the market have to match like a huge audience. And that's so they can sell off their minimum order. Like it makes sense. But with 3D printing, you don't have to appeal to the masses. You can manufacture something really cool that you know are only like 300 people people on the planet are even interested in. And that's super cool. So I hope to see more of that moving forward. Next chapter, my wish list. This is my specific wish list of particular products that I want to exist. And the point of saying this is I hope somebody's listening who has the power to make this. Make it and I'll review it on my channel. First, a Dart Zone Mark III with the frame of a Nexus Pro or a Tryon. The Dart Zone Mark III's drivetrain is a mechanical semi-auto system paired with an electronic full auto system, which is really awesome, but the ergonomics of the Mark III are kind of wonky. It's top heavy, it's chonky, it's just weird. I want that drivetrain and something more classic in ergonomics like the Nexus Pro or the Tryon, with a dedicated half-dart flared magwell, full ambi, nice flappy paddle magazine release, adjustable stock, and some tactical rails, maybe M-lock, that sort of stuff. What I'm describing is very similar to the 3D printed Griffin, and I will be reviewing that here in the next month or two. But that's 3D printed. I want this in injection molded because it's smoother and easier to paint. That is wish number one. Now wish number two. A full electric semi-auto pistol that's very similar to the Nightingale, but just a little bit smaller and hopefully with a dedicated holster. The Nightingale is just a little too big and would require some grinding to get that to smoothly go into a holster. It would have to include a really small low-capacity magazine to have the same form factors like the Mark II or the Mark 2.1. So very small, it'd be intended as an emergency backup, not really intended to use as a primary. When I use my pistol, it's only to get back to shooting with my primary. It's just an emergency blaster. But with my Mark II, I can pull it out, and if I'm holding my blaster, if I'm doing something with my left hand, I can only take one shot before I have to prime it. So this idea is like a Nightingale, but smaller with like a 6-round mag, so I can pull it out and shoot a few shots in a row. Not many people would buy that, but I would. Next, essentially a Dart Zone Rapid Strike with standard classic ergonomics. The Vulcanator is cool, it shoots hard, but the dual mag system is just so wacky, I'm never going to use that. I want Dart Zone performance out of something with traditional ergonomics like the Rapid Strike. Hopefully slimmer, sort of like the Turbine. The Rapid Strike is pretty thick by today's standards. I'm asking for too much, a flared magwell that's compatible with my 18-round stick mags. That's pretty important, Dart Zone. Some of your magwells don't work with my 18-round stick mags. Come on, bro. This would be a full-length dart launcher, by the way, to compete in a stock war or a super stock war. And those are my 3 specific wishes for this year. More vague wishes, death to the Elite Dart, normalized accuracy. Nerf, why are you still selling stuff with the Elite Dart? That's such a garbage dart design. Throw it out, destroy the plans, and just switch to AccuStrike as your normal dart. Consumers pick this crap up and they say, wow, why is this so inaccurate? Then they go shoot a Dart Zone blaster, and some ignorant consumers do not associate precision or accuracy with the dart. They blame the blaster. And then they have a bad taste in their mouth from Nerf saying, this is not accurate, I'm gonna shoot Dart Zone. I can't imagine Nerf not being aware of that. They sure have their reasons to do this stupid crap, but they should still stop it. I'm a YouTube kid alone in a room talking to his camera. I know what to do. Hasbro, listen to me. And my last wish is more innovation in Rival. Rival is kind of dead. But I love Rival. Lately, I've been shooting half darts for plinking and target shooting, but then when I'm shooting with friends, it's almost always Rival. Rival is fun and high performance, is fairly accurate. The hoppers make it easy to use, so it's very easy to explain how to use it. You hand it to a casual, you say load rounds here, click it shut, make sure it clicks shut, and now you're good to go. They don't have to load mags or be tactical at all. Rival is super fun. And again, high performance without any pain, really close range in my house. So I want more innovation in Rival. I'd like to see a spring primary with a hopper. I know the Curve Shot had one, but that wasn't a standard hopper. That was like a specialized one. I want something like a Prometheus hopper or a Nemesis or a Perseus hopper on a spring pump action blaster with an adjustable stock. There's an issue with the loading consistency, but I'm sure they could solve that. Just take the engineers who are wasting their time on all this ultra crap and get them to build that. They could do it in like a month. But that is it for my wish list for 2022. Next chapter, reflections on the Coop 772 channel. Where I've been, my state of mind now, and where I plan to go in the future. Honestly, bros, I've been super flat for a few years. I've had some medical issues, some mental health issues, and just going through ruts and ups and downs as every human will. But I'm super stoked for 23. This will be a year for improvement as a personal human and on my channel. I want to be responsible for the best reviews on the YouTube platform of foam flinging blasters. I've been really static. I haven't pushed myself. I haven't innovated. My review format hasn't changed in like over 2 years. This year, I'm gonna change it. I want to add more elements. I want to work harder. But don't worry, I am sticking with reviews. I'm gonna add new elements to the review videos, but I'm not gonna take anything away. And it'll still be based on really concise, quick cut, really compressed reviews. And the Yo Check This Out series is new. That's not to replace my review procedure. That's just to add new products that I otherwise would not have reviewed. So that's not gonna be like all of my reviews because it's way too simple and I don't actually test the products all that well. But they're quicker and easier to bang out. That'll be the video that'll be in addition to my standard weekly upload schedule. And on that note, the Yo Check This Out video, the watch time algorithm is not gonna help these videos very much. So they're going to flop, they're not going to perform well, and I'm well aware of that. And the future entertainment videos, I have a few funny skits I want to do, but they're going to be like 2 to 4 minute videos, and the algorithm just throws these out. It doesn't recommend them to anyone. Even if my core audience really digs them and they're funny, A lot of other people are not going to be fed that because the YouTube algorithm feeds what they are making money on, and they make money on longer videos that have more ad breaks. That's why the YouTube trend right now is to take something that you could easily do in 8 minutes and make it an 18-minute video. Add a bunch of imaginary drama and BS in the middle to extend that watch time. It's just to make more money. And I'm sick of that. I'm sick of this new YouTube where you see a title and a thumbnail and you're like, oh, okay, if you can talk about that in 5 minutes, I'll watch it. Then you look at the timestamp, 18 minutes? I don't care that much about this topic. Come on, man. I know you can cut that into a 5-minute video. YouTube used to be fun, snappy, short videos that held your attention, then you moved on. Now everybody and their mother is trying to abuse the watch time algorithm, dragging content out, talking in excruciating detail. It's annoying. I do detailed reviews, but I do them quickly, so I don't really feel bad. I don't waste time. The irony of rambling about time wasting as I'm wasting your time talking about time wasting. Oh, gosh. So the Yo Check This Out series and other entertaining series I might be doing in the future might actually be damaging to my channel, and because of that, I'm going to try channel memberships next year or in a week or two. So if you want to support the channel, you can subscribe to the membership and pay a few bucks a month if you want to. I'll have a whole video on that once I start that up. I haven't initiated that yet. But that's to be supplemental because I know I'm going to take a hit, but at this point it's like I don't care that much. I want to make this good content and I want YouTube to be good again. So sort of trying to put my money where my mouth is. And if it doesn't work or if it completely flops and I'm in financial ruin by the end of 24, I might have to change. But I'll give it a shot. I want to see what happens. And on that note, I am going to try new things for 23. You might not like some of them. You might really like some. If you want to let me know in the comments, that's great. I especially appreciate really specific comments. If you just say, oh, that's a really good video, that's awesome, but I don't know what you liked about the changes. But I'm going to change stuff relatively subtly. I'm going to be rolling new changes out for the next 3 months or so, maybe longer. So some things will work, some things won't, and I'll just figure it out. And as far as the channel evolving goes, I will not be evolving away from foam flinging. I'm not into gel blasters. I get that that's the trend, but no, I don't like those things. I don't get it. I don't want to go outside. I want to shoot this stuff in my house. Nerf for me has mostly been an indoor sport or like a more competitive game, and these gel blasters aren't like competitive. They're just goofy and quirky. I think it's a fad. I think the interest in these things is going to fade in the next few years, but I don't know. But I don't have passion for that. I don't care about it, so I'm not going to learn about all this crap to talk about it in a review. I like flinging foam. I know how to fling foam, so that's where my channel is going to stay. But yeah, overall, I'm super optimistic for 2023. That's pretty much where I intend to go for this year. I'll do another video like this at the end of next year to say what I'm going to do for 24. But that's pretty much my roadmap for the next year or so. And that is it for Foam Flinging Review 2022. Again, this video style will replace my Q&A for this year and moving forward, and mostly so it sticks to foam flinging and it doesn't get too personal. And a lot of the best questions you guys ask aren't questions I can impulsively answer during a Q&A video. So this format allows me to just kind of collect my thoughts. I wrote it all down so I can communicate more clearly. And I'll be doing this or a format just like this in the future. So let me know what you guys think of the Foam Flinging Review for 2022. That's it for this video. That's it for this channel for 2022. I'll see you guys next year. And because I took so much time off because of my medical problems, I'm not taking January off like I normally do, but I will be returning to my weekly schedule instead of bombarding your feed like I did in December. So Friday uploads at 3 p.m. That's my new schedule. Thanks so much for watching, bros. Have a happy new year, and as always, stay tactical.